Hello, Pooja, can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Uh, can you ask people to join? I had a call from the head of the department, so got slightly delayed. Uh, can you ask people to join? Kavya sent a message, but can you just ask her to join? I tried calling her. Her phone is coming engaged. So can you just ask her to join on WhatsApp?
Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon. I got a little delayed because I got a phone call from Ravi. Apparently, I don't know what the story is, but he suddenly tells me that we have to conduct some online exams for your seniors.
Okay.
And we have to do it in the next 2-3 days. We have
Okay.
to ask them to write a second internal. I was trying to tell him I have a class, I have a class. He wasn't listening to me. So anyway, we wasted enough time. Let's get going. Otherwise, the whole class will get unnecessarily washed out. So let's start the class. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Right. I hope Miss Sultanpur is there. Okay. I actually did a little bit of research yesterday by sheer accident. Uh, I was going through my personal library, which I'm now trying to organize properly so that, you know, I find books that I want. And I found one old Sanskrit book, uh, which is some kind of a commentary. It is some kind of a commentary. Now, with whatever little understanding of Sanskrit that I have, that book says you should not pronounce this as Sanskrit. You should pronounce it as Sanskritam. Okay, that's how it says it is. But anyway, it doesn't matter. It'll sound odd to people because people are used to calling it Sanskrit and not Sanskritam. Uh, Now, the word Gana appears there in different contexts, and I found it very interesting. So I just thought, even if it means that we are going to again revisit the idea of the Ganapada, I thought it might be a good idea to discuss the myriad meanings that the word Gana itself has. Okay, and then I thought I'll end my this thing with the meaning that we talked about yesterday, which is, you know, the followers of Shiva. Okay, we'll go to that. We'll end with that is what I thought. So this book that I was reading is something. It is called Sanatana Dharma. It is a compilation of essays by various people, and what this book basically tells us is that uh, Gana as a word is found in not just Sanskrit, but it is also found in Pali, which was the spoken language of the common people, and Prakrit, which is also another uh, ancient language spoken mostly by the common people, but also by the upper castes of uh, the Sanatana Dharma society. Now, in this, there is a mention in this particular work that I am talking about. There is a mention that uh, Gana is also found not just in Sanatana Dharma, but it is also found in Jainism and Buddhism. And Gana there refers to the followers of Buddha himself in his lifetime. If you look at Buddhism, so the samajas that Buddha was trying to construct and have commodious living by people, this came to be called Ganas. Okay, so this is one meaning that you'll find. And even after Buddha attained nirvana, then his followers continued to preach his teachings. They took them around, and each of the followers of these disciples of rather the followers of the disciples of Buddha. Uh, Apparently, these disciples were chosen by Buddha himself to succeed him as people or as monks who will take the message of Buddhism all over. And it is mentioned in this book that there are 12 such disciples, but I'm not sure if this is a reliable number. But there are disciples, and disciples formed themselves into Ganas behind these uh, original disciples of Buddha, who now became their leaders. And they were wandering people, a point that I will come back to later on, a little later on. They were wandering people, and these people uh, took the message of Buddha along with them wherever they went. Now, if we look at some of the, and again, in Jainism, Jainism is another source where we find the use of Ganas. Each of the Tirthankaras and even people like Bahubali, okay, all of them had followers, or they had their own disciples who were mendicants. Mendicants, as I told you, they went around asking for food. And these people were also called Ganas in Jainism, because that meant just a group. So what the book was trying to tell was that in Sanskrit, Pali, and Prakrit, the term Gana etymologically actually means a group. Okay, and this is further substantiated by what you find in one of the Upavedas we talked about, the Ayurveda. In the Ayurveda, one of the important chapters is that which goes by the name of Sushruta Samhita. Sushruta, I mentioned to you, was the surgeon. Yesterday we talked about Somras and Sushruta conducting operations, surgeries, that is. So Sushruta used the term Ganas in the Sushruta Samhita, and he used it to classify. It's a taxonomical thing. Taxonomy as classification. Classification of 37 different kind of medicinal plants. Okay, not 37 plants, but 37 kinds of medicinal plants which could take care of any of the illnesses that a human being is likely to suffer. So this particular classification is done under the head of Ganas. Okay, the book that I saw also gave a list of these 37 things, but that is not for us to discuss. We are not doing a course in BAMS, which is Bachelor of Ayurvedic Medicine and Surgery. So let's not worry about those 37 groups of medicinal plants. But it has been used in order to do grouping of, or in classification or taxonomy as well in Sanskrit. One of the prime examples of that is the Sushruta Samhita, which you find as a part of the Ayurveda, which is an Upaveda. Uh, Then there is another usage of it in the itihasas. And in the itihasas, it is not Gana, but the usage is Gana. You have to, uh, you know, prolong the second A, Gana. And Gana is the name of a female attendant of King Skanda. Okay, Skanda was one of the rulers of the ancient period. His attendant, who apparently became very famous for her feats of defending the king in various different situations when the king was, uh, under attack. So this lady, who people describe as an attendant, I mean, I am describing, uh, the Sanskrit word is something else. It is not attendant, but it is like somebody who assisted the king. Her name was Gana. So that is another one. And this name repeatedly, I believe, according to that book, it comes many times in itihasas, which are nothing but histories. So Skanda was there in itihasa, and as was this lady who was uh, called Gana. And some people say that this is in the Satya Parva. Okay, Satya Parva is a period, and they say that this Satya Parva is also a part of the Mahabharata, so to speak. It is also a part of the Mahabharata, but I personally have not seen Satya Parva as being a part of Mahabharata. But when you say something is a Parva, it is a body of, I mean, it is a smaller part of a larger work. Okay, so you have the various parvas in Mahabharata, uh, Virata Parva, and then you have different parvas. Let's not go into the details of that. So this appears in the Satya Parvas is what it says, but I am not able to establish if it is in the Mahabharata or in something else. But we again don't need to do that right now. It is just enough if we know what this thing means. The third meaning of Gana, it is to be found in the Ashtangara Dasya, no, not Dasya, Ashtangraha Daya Samhita. Okay, Ashtanga HR, Ashtanga Daya Samhita. This was written by a poet called Vag Bhatta. Okay, Vag Bhatta, Bhatta, not Bhatta, sorry. Vag Bhatta, in fact, there is a little bit of controversy that surrounds Vag Bhatta. Some people say he was a poet, writer. Some people equate him to the god of speech. Okay, Vak is actually supposed to be speech. Okay, so Vagbhatta is supposed to be the god of speech, but I think that is a dubious classification, because uh, there is a god for language and grammar, and that is Vachaspati. Vachaspati is in charge of language, which includes all aspects of it, syntax, semantics, and even spoken language. And his name is Vachaspati. So I doubt if Vagbhatta is any kind of a god. He must be a poet, scholar. And when somebody says bhatta, okay, a bhatta is usually somebody who's of the nature of a follower. Okay, people's followers are called bhattas, bhattus. Okay, so Vagbhatta used this in the Ashtanga Daya Samhita, and he uses this to classify what people call in English minstrels. Okay, minstrels, minstrels. Minstrels are those who are like storytellers, but they don't tell you a story like a story, which is what I do. I'm right now telling you a story. Okay, so this is not the storytelling that they do. They do it in verse, 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 and they sing it out. That culture you find still in Bengal, the culture of the minstrels. They are called bauls. Okay, Baul, baul. And there are different people with, and all their names end with baul. And they do, there is a, like just there is a Rabindra Sangeet, which is, the songs and music composed by Rabindranath Tagore. You have Baul Sangeet, and Bauls sing folk, traditional folk songs. And the Bauls are called singing minstrels. Okay, they are called singing minstrels, and they also tell different stories. And in the Ashtanga Samhita, what Vagbhatta is claiming is that they told stories of various gods, and these minstrels, these, or if you want, you call them storytellers, they told stories of various different people, and they were the ones who were instrumental in spreading the message of Sanatana Dharma. The message of Sanatana Dharma was spread by these, and these people are called Ganas, these minstrels, storytellers, and they are wanderers basically. Okay, they don't live in one place, they wander from kingdom to kingdom, or from Janapada to Janapada, or Ganapada to Ganapada, or whatever. So they are wandering minstrels. This is yet another meaning that I found. And of course, in the Mahabharata itself, there is a reference to the idea of Gana. And this thing that we talk about in the Mahabharata refers to, this Gana that we talk about, refers to 1 lakh verses. Okay, 1 lakh verses, a set of 1 lakh verses. That is called a Gana. Why? I don't know. I couldn't understand that much Sanskrit. So I'll have to tell you that I'm ignorant of that. Okay, but it does very clearly say that there is a set of 1 lakh shlokas, actually. The word that we should be using is shloka. Shloka is also a metered verse, and that is basically what has been called Gana by the Veda Vyasa himself. So there is this meaning also to be found in the Mahabharata. And this is the reason why I say that the story of Skanda, Satya Parva, I don't know if it is a part of the Mahabharata. If it was, then it would have been mentioned. So maybe the Satya Parva is something that happened in the Krita Yuga, because I have not been able to find this king Skanda. There is a Skanda Gupta who came in the Gupta Empire. He came in that particular Gupta Empire, in which you have Chandragupta Vikramaditya, not Chandragupta Maurya. You have Chandragupta Vikramaditya. There is also a Skandagupta. Okay, that is not the person we are talking about. We are talking about Skanda, who I do not know in which period he lived. Then we come to the final definition of Gana. Final definition, not as definition of the type where you say after this there is no this thing. When from the material that I could gather, this is the final thing that we're going to talk about. I talked about this yesterday, and I said Ganas are supposed to be followers of Shiva. But funnily enough, the Shiva Purana is mentioned, just like there's a Vishnu Purana. There is also a Shiva Purana, and the Shiva Purana mentions Ganas in 2 different ways. That is the interesting part. One of the ways in which it refers to the Ganas is a group of deities. Deities is those to whom you do pujas. Okay, idols. Idols are deified, meaning they are given, they are supposed to contain what we call the power of the cosmos, the deities. So it is apparently applicable to a group of deities. I couldn't make out how many deities, and there is a list of names which I found unnecessary because they are not anybody that we can uh, rely on uh, for any kind of useful knowledge in the future. The second definition of Ganas that you find in the Shiva Purana and also in later Puranas refers to the followers of Shiva. Okay, it refers to the followers of Shiva, And these have been divided into 9 types. The followers of Shiva are divided into 9 types. I thought it pertinent to know the 9 types. The first type of the uh, Ganas in the Shiva Purana, they were using the idea of a structure of those who, it is not that all people, all these 9 Ganas are equal. They are not equal. Okay. These are, I'm telling you, in the descending order in terms of who is more powerful and who is closer to Shiva or to Ganapati. So the first variety, the first group or the first segment is Adityas. These are the highest kind of Ganas, so to speak. Then you have Vishwas. Okay. Vishvas, Vishwas, or they are also called Vishwadevas. Vishwas or Vishwadevas, that is the second in the hierarchy. The third in the hierarchy is Vasus. No, not Vasus, sorry, I've got it wrong. Vasus. Vasus are the third in the hierarchy. Fourth in the hierarchy are the Tusitas, Tusitas. Tusitas are the fourth in the hierarchy. And fifth in the hierarchy are Abhaswaras, A-B-H-A-A, Abhaswaras, S-V-A-R-A-S. Okay, so Abhaswaras are the fifth type. Sixth type are Anilas, the sixth class or the in the descending order. This we are doing as the descending order. Okay, and the seventh ones are called the Maharajikas. This is another Gana. Maharajikas, they are called. And eighth are called Sadhyas. Saadhyas. They are another group. They are called Sadhyas. And the final group that you have is that which is called the Rudras. It's called the Rudras, R-U-D-R-A-S. Now, this had me stumped, this particular thing. Rudras being at the bottom of the classification. This stumped me because in traditional interpretations, or the common interpretations, not traditional, common interpretations, people equate Shiva with Rudra. People say Shiva is also Rudra. And they say that the Prathama Guna, or the first Guna or quality of Shiva, is Raudra, anger. Okay, Raudra is anger. He needs to be cooled, and that is why he has the moon on his head. Right? He needs to be cooled, so he has the moon on his head to cool him. That is what we are told. But in reality, Rudra precedes Shiva. If you read Shankaracharya, which is the Adi Shankaracharya, not the various Shankaracharyas, 6 Shankaracharyas are there now, not any of these Shankaracharyas, but the original Shankaracharya, Adi Shankaracharya, he says there was Shiva is the reincarnation of Rudra. Okay, just as you have reincarnations of Vishnu as various avatars. Okay, people say that Shankara believed that this is an alternative hierarchy to the Vishnu avatara reincarnation. This thing. So these avatars are originally supposed to be derived from the sun. The sun, from that came Rudra, and then came Shiva. Okay, so I can perfectly understand that the Adityas are given the first position because everything is being traced back to the sun. So Aditya is another name for sun. Okay, Aditya is another name for the sun. So I can understand there being one, number one, but Rudras, why are they at the bottom of the Ganas? So I tried some more searching, and the explanation I have found for that was originally these people were on the top because the Rudra tradition of Ganas continued from the time of the original Rudra, the first Rudra. But since they continued to have their allegiance to the original Rudra, the first Rudra, and were reluctant to be a part of this thing of Shiva, they were pushed to the bottom of the hierarchy of the Ganas. Okay, they were pushed to the bottom of the hierarchy of the Ganas, and that is the reason that has been given as though they are the oldest Gana, they have been pushed down. And I told you yesterday, the head of all these Ganas is none other than Ganapati, Ganesha, Vignapati, Vigneshwara, all these. Okay, so when you talk about deities, I said there is a talk about deities also in the Shiva Purana. In the Shiva Purana, there are Shiva appears in 2 forms, 3 forms actually. One, he appears as Linga. Linga is the male genital, right? So that is one, this thing. The other form in which he appears is Nataraja. Okay, so he's the king of dance, because when Shiva is overcome by emotion, his way of letting off emotion, especially anger, was by performing this particular kind of dance called Tandava. Okay, so it is Tandava is now synonymous with Shiva. So people say it is Shiva Tandava. But otherwise, Tandava has its own identity. It predates Shiva. He liked that he performed Tandava to let off that extreme emotion that he had. So Nataraja is one of the other things. And the third thing, the third interpretation is that he is Ardhanarishwara, half man, half woman. That again goes back to the linga and the yoni being worshipped together. It's not just linga worship, there is a yoni also there which is worshipped. So that is the three deities. Then you have another deity who's the Ganapati, Vigneshwara, and then you have yet another deity who is the son of Shiva, and that is Subramanya. Okay, some people also call Kumaraswamy, but his technical name is Subramanya. And two other deities. One is Shiva's first wife, okay, whose name was, I have blanked out. Uh, anyway, it'll come back. Parvati is his second wife.
Sati, sir.
Sati, thank you. That's a part of my name. Sati Ish is Ardhanarishwara. No, seriously.
Yes, sir.
Sati and Ishwara is Satish.
Yes, sir.
And I forgot that. Anyway, so much for my wonderful ability to remember. So there is this Sati who's also deified because she gave up her life. And Parvati, the Parvata Raja's daughter, she got the name Parvati, and her incarnations, Durga, Kali, all of these are the various deities that you see in Shiva Purana. So in the Shiva Purana, unlike in the Vishnu Purana, where you don't see female deities, in the Shiva Purana, you see female deities as well. But Ganapada comes from all this, and it should not be used. After I have seen yesterday, I now believe that we should call them Janapadas and not Ganapadas, because these are steeped in religious mythology and all that. Maybe